All right, can y'all hear me? Okay. Thank you for waiting so patiently. But we now have our three panelists here. I will read off their bios and it will be on the screen, but then they will probably reintroduce themselves anyways. And then after that, I will go through questions and ask them. But you are free to ask questions while I'm asking questions as well. But we'll also take questions after. So, but yeah. While I'm going through your panel, I know your your bios, your picture is already up there. But if you could just say hi as well, that's cool. Okay. Again, to note, these are college admissions from these schools, and so they are not students, but they were once students. So you have many questions to ask them about the schools as well as their own personal experiences. But we will start with, is it Pana? We have Pana Xiong. She is a admissions counselor at the U, which we toured. She was supposed to be there with us that one day, but she was not. This is something else, but she was born and raised in the Twin Cities, went to Paxton Henry, and then to Champlain Park. And then she also went to the U to study family social science and to minor in developmental psychology. And she also likes winter. I don't like winter. But this is Pana Xiong. So Alex is in the middle. Born and raised in St. Paul, went to Highland Park Senior High School, and then is also a Hamline grad, but is also working at Hamline. Bachelor's in anthropology with a certificate in proficiency in Spanish, and enjoys being engaged with other students on campus, like clubs and organizations. Very much involved, as you can see. And yeah, and he was also a college possible coach at Humboldt and Community of Peace Academy for 2 years. And then now he is a counselor at Hamline University. And that is Alex. And last is Scott. He is the assistant director of admissions for the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, but also focuses on admissions for St. Paul and Wisconsin. So kind of helping CSE students. So if you didn't know, MCAD is the abbreviation for Minneapolis College of Art and Design. Sorry, I'm reading this now too. But yeah, ready to work with you all, kind of helping you on your journey, because it is a art school. That is where they're focusing on. But moving down to the last part, Scott's passionate about traveling and his experiences around the country, and also has 2 huskies. And if y'all heard this morning, he took them on a long walk. So yeah, and that is Scott. But yeah, I will have y'all reintroduce yourself if you want to say anything more than what you have given us. Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna go first. I'm Pana. Sorry I was not there for your tour. I was on vacation. But did y'all like the candy bags? Yeah, okay. I still have a bunch left, so if you need some more, just let me know. I don't really have anything else to say besides if you ever want to talk to me one-on-one, you're definitely welcome to. I don't really have any other fun facts. I guess one is I really like eating hot Cheetos with rice. That's bomb. Yeah, I do that frequently, but I don't really have anything else.
All right, hello. First off, apologies. I was at the high school site before coming here this morning. So, but again, my name is Alex. I'm the admissions counselor for Hamline University, and I'm assigned to this school here. So I'll most likely be working with a lot of you if you decide to apply to Hamline. And so don't be afraid to come and speak with me one-on-one if you have any more questions afterwards. I'd be happy to give you my business card. But yeah, I don't have too much else to say, but yeah, glad to be here.
And I'm Scott. I am Assistant Director of Admissions, but also an admissions counselor. I do a lot of traveling. So I really like to engage with students. And of course, we're an art school, so we're sort of different. You have kind of a really good variety of different types of schools represented here. So realistic, I know not everybody is going into art, but I do think creativity is really important no matter what you do. So how you stretch your mind into problem solving, whether you go into a medical field or an art field, there are similar skills to be had. So yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I do have materials. If any of you are interested, come and get a brochure, take my business card, and go from there.
So I do have a list of questions. I will go ahead and start asking them. But they are kind of like in topics of a variety of things. So my first question is about the application process. What is the most important piece considered on an application?
First. So this answer is going to vary based on what college or university you're interested in. Like for example, in art schools, like what they're asking for your application is very different from like a four-year university. Like for example, at the U of M, we do have 8 separate freshman admitting colleges, and within them we have one called like College of Design. I usually tell students that's kind of like where most of our art majors are in. So like if you are interested in graphic design, architecture, things like that, you don't need to submit like a portfolio. So that's like something different. Maybe if you're looking at like MCAT, for example. So I guess I want to say that because at our university, we do have required components for you to apply. So for example, we need your application, we need your self-reported academic record. That just means that everything on your transcript, we're going to ask you to manually input it into your application. And then we're also going to need like a application fee, but that can be waived. So like those are the required components of our admissions process. Like all the other optional parts, they're optional, but they're all equally important, if that makes sense. But the best way to put it is definitely if you want to apply and you don't want to submit the optional ones, it's not that those aren't important, they're just optional. It's if you want to submit like the minimal things, it's better for you to prioritize the required components of our application. But I always tell students, like, make the best decision for you. Take a look at the both optional and required on our website and decide what you want to submit. Like, for example, we're not requiring ACT or SAT scores through fall 2025. So if you don't want to submit it, that's totally fine. You still get full equal consideration for honors programs, scholarships, and admissions, just like the students who did submit their test scores. So the answer is kind of like everything, but also depending on what you want to submit.
Okay, yeah, kind of like Pana said, there are, based on the college that you apply to, different key factors that everyone's looking into, but just to kind of highlight what Pana mentioned, and just kind of going off of that, as for Hamline, key requirements for the application is, for one, the application itself, academic transcript, for the time being, can be a manually inputted grades report, or an unofficial transcript, but by the time you start, we do require a official version of the transcript. Otherwise, things like your college essay, any letters of recommendation, one of which has to be from someone within the school, could be a teacher, counselor, or coach, but any additional letters of recommendation can be from like community members that you volunteered with, anyone that can speak on your behalf. But you know, those are all components of an application, but I'd say the key, biggest factor that's going to, I would say for the most part, make or break a decision, majority, is obviously going to be your GPA. And that's one of the biggest factors that most colleges, if not all of them, will mainly look into first. And then anything else you submit, we do what's called a holistic review of your application. So anything else that you submit aside from or on top of like that transcript, GPA, so again, those letters of recommendation. We take the time to actually review and look at everything you submit to us. So we don't really just put it through a machine and just kind of decide whether or not you get accepted. We actually consider all the context and factors that you provide within, people that can speak on your behalf and give us context to who you are as a person rather than just kind of name and numbers game. So those are additional, I guess, things to consider when, you're doing your college applications. Look for those, supplemental materials that can really help you out in the end.
And we have 14 different areas of study, essentially majors. We do require a portfolio of artwork for 13 of the 14. So that is what really sets us aside. If you're going to art school and plan on, pursuing drawing and painting, sculpture, animation, photography, you are providing a portfolio, and that holds the most weight. So we do require also the application, also your transcripts, a letter of recommendation, which is pretty open-ended, as well as a writing sample. So you can submit based upon questions that we offer, or you can, if you have a really great paper that you're proud of, you can submit that as a writing sample as well.
I think the answer will be it depends on what the student is looking for. So the biggest thing I can say is that the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, it may not be the best campus for everyone because everyone's looking for something different. But a few things I can highlight is that a lot of folks, they come and they confirm to our university because a lot of them, they like the multiple majors that we offer. So we do offer over 150 majors. So a lot of students, they want to do a dual degree. So that means you pursue two different types of degrees. So you could graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Biology and a Bachelor of Arts in English. So we offer that for our students. And a lot of them, they want to maximize what they can in the 4 years they're here. We also offer learning abroad. So we have over 180 programs in over 50 countries. We also offer minors that folks, you don't have to minor in the same college you're majoring in, so you're able to pursue, you pick one college for your major, but you can minor in a different college elsewhere in our university as well. So because of the multitude of our academic opportunities, a lot of our students are very attracted to that just because they have a lot of options. So they can really personalize, pick and choose what they want and how they want their journey to look like for the next 4 years. So that's definitely something I've heard students tell me over, that's why we pick it. And also, too, as for campus and community life, we give our students a lot of freedom to definitely, you could join a group, and if we don't have it, you can definitely make it. So they have the autonomy to make those decisions for themselves. We really want students to make their college what they want to experience. So I do just want to end it by saying yes, the U of M is a big campus, but with that being said, there's always a lot of resources and opportunities for students to pick and choose how they want their community on campus to look. A lot of folks have told me they prefer having a lot of options versus less options, and that's why they went to the U. It's also why I went to the U as well, just because I had a lot of academic different interests. I just wanted to make sure I went to a school that could support all of that. But my decisions and my thoughts and values are very different from another person, which is why the answer is it varies. So, as you continue through your high school journey, I do encourage you to think about what you want in a college. A college could be the greatest one ever, but, if you don't like the community or if you visit it and you're just not really feeling it, it won't set you up for success. So I encourage you to continue to reflect on what environments you're successful in, what do you need to be successful, what do you want on a college campus, things like that, and it will naturally help you kind of narrow down your college choices, and that will look different for everyone.
Yeah, so first off, kind of like Scott mentioned earlier, it's nice that you have the three of us here from very different institutions. So U of M being a public institution with a ton of students, Scott's more field-based, and then us in regards to being a private university. Hamline is in fact one of the smaller universities out of the private schools in the Twin Cities. We're no more than 2,000 students as a whole, so our average class has around 22 students per class. So my point with, I guess, the biggest thing that stands out about us as a college is that, one, we are a liberal arts private school, but also being that private school and having that small class size, it really does add a lot of personalization and being able to engage with a lot of your classmates as well as your professors. You're not stuck in a classroom full of over 100 people. I'll say that usually most classes will cap out around 50 students total. And so for my intro freshman class as a Hamline student, my largest class size was only about 45 students. So still that opportunity for me to ask, raise my hand, ask questions to the professor and still have that discussion. And then also having that, key factor in having them get to really know who you are as a student too. So really being able to establish a good relationship, ask those questions. And again, kind of touching into the small community aspect, we have over 80 different clubs and organizations on campus where students have the full autonomy of being able to control what happens within that student organization. We do assign faculty advisors and staff advisors to those clubs and organizations, but it's ultimately your decision to really decide what you get to do with that club or that organization. And out of those 80, if you don't find anything that you're particularly interested in joining and want to start your own, just like Pana said, you have that autonomy to be able to establish that organization too if you want. It only takes about 5 students to be considered a full student club or organization on campus. And I can tell you, I had students that actually created the esports team that's available at Hamline, for example, that we didn't used to have. So a lot of opportunity in that aspect. And I'd say, again, not only do you have the autonomy to be able to have an impact on what goes on from a student organization standpoint, but you can actually voice your concerns or things that you want to see change within the community, because our faculty and staff are good advocates for that, but also you have the opportunity to speak with those that actually run the university, like our university president and board of trustees. They're very engaging with our students and student leaders on campus. So yeah, I'd say that real personalization aspect is what you really get out of going to a smaller school.
So similarly, we're also fully accredited. We're part of the Private Colleges Council. So we're a small school. We're about 750 undergraduate students. Think about these schools offer kind of a good plethora of different majors. We're focused more on those visual arts. One really great thing is we are on, and to contrast again, we're on one city block. We're basically just a few buildings. Our dorms are on the same city block. So we're really a tight, cohesive community. There are gallery spaces. All of your instructors are currently working in the fields that they teach. So they are artists and designers. They're not maybe, they did that in the early 2000s and now they exclusively teach. We only hire people that are actually out there doing what they do. So if you are in an animation class, they are making animation. They are somehow part of that industry. So we do have a lot of connections, and I think that that's a huge draw and benefit to the students to get a very nurturing environment. Our average class size is 12 students. So again, similarly, you have a lot of interaction with your peers and with your instructors, and that's going to help you, get further in your career quicker.
Declare a major at some point to, hopefully graduate with that major. So what does it look like for the school, college, if the students are interested?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, when you apply, you will be asked to pick up to, I believe, 4 majors. So the first one's like your primary major of choice that you're really interested in within one of the 8 colleges, and then they're going to ask you to select an alternate major within that same college. And if you want to select another college besides the first one that you chose that you're interested in, you'll be asked to make the same 2 selections again. So it is up to 4. I do want to say that for the most part, if you don't know, totally fine. You can select undecided for 6 of our 8 colleges. The only 2 colleges that ideally we want you to know exactly like what you want to graduate with or have a very strong idea is our College of Design and our School of Nursing. So School of Nursing, if you want to earn your Bachelor of Science in Nursing, that's the only major in that college. So ideally that should be the one you're pursuing. The other ones are College of Design. So if let's say you're interested in graphic design, you will select that major. And the reason why is because that college, they have very specific 4-year curriculums that they want to start their student off from day 1 per each of the 4 years. So that's why they're like, you're not going to explore for 2 years like our other 6 colleges. You're going to select that major from the day you're applying. And you'll still be like a pre-major until later on, but for the most part, those 2 colleges, you do need to know what your major is or have a very strong idea of it. But for our other 6 colleges, you can apply as undecided. And if you do, totally fine. Or if you do choose to select a few majors of interest, that's fine too. This does not impact your admissions at all. It just gives us a better idea of how to send resources to your relevant things we think you might be interested in, opportunities, networking things, or maybe even U of M events that we hold in the spring that may be, let's say, caters to computer science or anything like that. It just gives us a better idea how to send things out to you. But for our 6 colleges, you actually won't be declaring your major until the end of your sophomore year. So that's your second year. You have, for the first year, ideally, take those intro classes to all the majors that you're interested in, kind of get to know them. And, you work with your advisor to narrow down your choices. In year 2, of course, you can still take intro courses, but you should also now be moving on to taking prerequisite courses in order to declare your major. This is something your academic advisor will help you with. So if you don't know, totally fine. Every single student is required to have an advisor and to meet with them. So that's how the process usually works.
I want to make this a little bit interactive. Just out of curiosity, show of hands of who knows or has at least an idea of what they want to major in. Only a couple? Even if you're 10%, it's an idea. Okay, and then keep them up if you are 100% sure. Okay, yeah, a few more went down. So yeah. There is that sort of expectation to have everything figured out by the time you hit your senior year, right? And it is a little bit stressful, and that's totally understandable. But yeah, similar to what Pana said, we actually do have a liberal arts curriculum to where we actually want you to explore other subject and topics aside from the one that you're interested in majoring in, to really give you a well-rounded education overall, and really honing in on making you good at having professional critical writing, critical reading, critical thinking skills, and really setting a good foundation in those skill sets. So we actually also give you to the end of your sophomore year to officially declare what you want to major in. And even within those first 2 years, let's say you were, planning on majoring in business, and then suddenly, because of what we call our Hamline plan, you decide to take a class that's completely different to knock off one of those sort of general curriculum credits. You end up really liking that class. Well, if you end up deciding to switch to that major, then essentially everything you've taken up until that point will become your general credits too. So it's not in the sense with us where you have to take a specific set of courses for your general ed credits. We assign different subject areas to those classes. So as long as you complete those subject areas, then you complete the overall general curriculum. And so really giving you that flexibility of really taking that opportunity to venture out, try out different subjects, and really find what sticks in, as for an interest in what you want to pursue for a career. So, end of your sophomore year is essentially what you got. And for me personally, I definitely took all 2 years to figure out my major too. So it's definitely no pressure for at least going into your first year.
I would say as you apply, you are letting us know what your main interest is, what you think you're going into, but it's 50-50. Honestly, half of all of our students do switch to a different major. And part of that is the exploration of college, taking different classes, discovering new things, new skills about yourself, and kind of understanding as you're going through a program, meeting other artists, other designers, seeing what possibilities there are for making your own way in that area is going to help you. So you start taking classes. There's a good mix of liberal arts classes. We want you to be a well-rounded individual, and eventually you'll declare your major. That's going to help you kind of get priority as far as class selection in those classes that you need. But as an art school, most everything is going to fall into those elective areas. So I would say probably the biggest difference is if you have the interest in biology or something, at this stage of applying to MCAD, we probably actually say, hey, check out U of M, check out all of these other schools, because we don't offer biology, right? Like if you are set on graphic design, hey, we're an excellent school for that. And maybe you become an illustrator instead. Maybe you make books. But we're going to help you, find your way within those areas. So you can always transfer from a different school, a year or two later, and pursue something at our school. So.
I'm going to move down to student support services. But what kind of support is there for first year or freshman students at your college?
So this is gonna be a long answer because some of them it's like we require you to go through, and some of them it's really optional. It really relies more on the student taking initiative to join those organizations. So for the first part, as incoming freshmen, you go through orientation. That's like your first event, I would say, at the U, where you really get to meet your an academic advisor from your college, and you start forming relationships. And they're really patient. They're really nice. You work with the orientation team. They help walk you through, here's how you sign up for classes as a first year student. These are the resources. Let's walk you around campus to get you more familiar. So they're really helpful in that aspect of introducing you to the campus. And the next part is your academic advisor. So when I was a student, this could be different now, but I don't think it is. You are required to meet with your academic advisor at least once a semester, just so that, number one, they can check in on you to see how you're doing, how you're transitioning. Number two, to see if, do you need help signing up for courses, or, let's help you explore some majors, or, if you do choose to confide in them, let them know, maybe if you're having some struggles, or, you're interested in XYZ, they're that first point of contact, usually your first year, that you rely on the most, because they'll also be the one helping referencing you to other organizations on campus that they may think will be helpful for you. The other thing, too, is because I don't work for the Learning Abroad department, I don't know too much about this, but there are first year Learning Abroad experiences where freshman students can sign up. You go, like I said, because I don't work in this unit, I don't really know, but they do have those experiences, and some freshman students will choose to partake in it. It really helps them find let's say a much smaller community of a shared experience abroad. So that's one way that freshman students will kind of build their communities, get to know the faculty, things like that. And the other thing I want to mention too is we have a lot of different student organizations on campus, and just organizations in general, that they will reach out to students that are confirmed coming to the U over email. They'll reach out to you letting you know we offer mentoring, services. They will provide you with like an upperclassman mentor where you become a mentee. You can connect with their staff and faculty. They also have free printing. So a few examples is like we have MK, which is our Multicultural Center for Academic Excellence. They serve students of color, first generation students, and American Indian students. They will do something called kickoff. So if you're like a freshman, they will, if you display interest and you want to join them, you are invited to kickoff where you could get to know other folks other folks who are multicultural. You meet their staff who will usually have like similar backgrounds as you or at least some similar life experiences. And at the U too, we also have something called APARC. That is an organization on campus. Their primary student population that they serve are Asian American, Asian students, and Pacific Islander students as well. So very similarly to MK, they do offer something called Aspire program, which is mentor-mentee program, and a lot of students, they'll reach out to you over email. So if you do want to partake in it, make sure you're looking out for their emails. So those are just two examples. There's a lot more, but if you want to get a more personalized list of things that you might be interested in, always feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to chat with you, get to know your interests, and give you a list of things that you may be interested in joining at the U. But for the most part, our university, we do communicate a lot over email. In our organizations, they will reach out to you over email, and it's really up to you to tap into those resources to indicate that you're interested and show up to their gatherings, whether it's virtual or in person. So it's there are some things set in place where you absolutely must use it, but there are other optional things that would be really helpful if you did join, but it's not required, but they can definitely help support you as a first-year student.
Okay, yeah, so kind of going back on what I said earlier and what makes Hamline stand out the most, again, we are a private school with the opportunity to provide you a lot more personalized experience as a whole. And I know the question is really geared as, being a first-year student, but honestly, this goes on beyond your first year. It goes on for all 4 years where we, in fact, actually assign all of our students a faculty advisor. So your academic advisor that you meet with at least once a semester prior to registering for the upcoming semester is actually a professor within your major. So you're actually getting that one-on-one focus again from and really having that opportunity to speak one-on-one with the professor you're taking classes for, and really getting that insight in terms of what kind of classes that you need to graduate and making sure that you're really staying on track to graduate on time and getting the right credits that you need, rather than taking a class that you may not have needed and wasting those extra dollars. Because again, when you're in college, every class you take is money that you're spending. So you want to be careful in making sure that you're taking those right classes, right? And again, having that faculty advisor know exactly what classes that you need to take and having those conversations can really go a long way in being able to make sure that you're on track to graduate in the best way possible. And not only that, we also still do have our Academic Advising Center, our Center for Academic Success and Achievement. We call them CASA. In college, you will go through a lot of different acronyms. But essentially, their job is, again, to be another additional resource to you, to be able to stop in their office. And in fact, you can actually create your own sort of 4-year plan to, if you're that person that likes to know, or that likes to have everything scheduled out for all 4 years, they can help you with that and make a 4-year plan to know exactly what classes you need to take every semester for all 4 years. Aside from that, we do have a lot of different office resources, not only through faculty, but also staff-wise. We do have our Hedman Center for Student Diversity Initiatives, as well as our Wesley Center for Spirituality Service and Social Justice. So if you want to be part of the community, engage with the community, again, those are some additional support systems to really be able to establish that connection as a first-year student, especially, to be able to really get to know a lot of people around the campus. And yeah, not only that, but we also do offer a tutoring service in our library, in the basement of a library office. It can be a bunch of different variety of subjects, areas. They're all students that have taken the course prior to being that tutor, so they know exactly what they are talking about, and made sure that they're tested on it so that we're confident that they're able to help our students. And yeah, we also have our writing center to help you with any writing assignments. Essentially, you just submit an essay or whatever writing assignment to them. They'll make corrections, edits, provide feedback. and yeah, be that additional support in the writing department. But again, being that smaller school, you do get that personalized experience again of being able to engage and really walk up to any door or office of any professor and ask for their support right there when you need it. So yeah, those are just some of the support resources that we offer for Hamline.
All incoming students are partnered with an older student. So there's a peer mentorship program. So typically that's a junior or senior. So they've been at MCAD for a couple of years. They kind of know, what professors they really like, where you can go to get a good taco, all of those, very important things when you're in school. We do have a learning center and disability services. So we, especially if we have that conversation, if you, have special needs that of going into school, we have some resources to help you. And those could be as simple as helping you, with writing assignments, getting notes to those classes that you can't keep up with. Artists are a different lot, and we want to help each other. So we do have several resources in place like that. We also have the career development services. So we want you, as your parents want you, to be thinking about, what are you doing after college, right? And so from the get-go, we do introduce students to that department. And it's somewhat to be forward-thinking, like start your resume, start your CV, as we call it, to keep track of all of your personal artistic and, job-related experiences, all of your skills that you're acquiring, get that on a page. But then also helping with interview skills, being able to speak in front of groups. There are all sorts of resources that we want you as an artist to have. So, I think we all do kind of a good job. I would say also it's there for the taking. It's up to you. And, part of our job is to be the resource or the liaison so that if you are one of those students, thumb wrestling or your mind is going elsewhere and you're thinking like, hey, I do want to, check in with Hamline, or I do want to check in with MCAD. You would be, even if you try to, send an email to the admissions email, it's going to get to me. They're going to say, where are you emailing from? What's your zip code? And it's going to get to me. So I am your resource. And I think that that's a good thing to be aware of. Like, we're here to help you at this stage of the game. And we don't really, yes, we hand you off to financial aid. We hand you off to careers. But for the whole time that you're in high school and moving on through that process of applying, you have, one person and one department to kind of banter with. So I think that that's really important to be aware of.
Moving on to student life, what are some big or popular student events that run throughout the year that you can think of?
Student groups, you said?
Student events.
Oh, that is a big question, just because the U does have a lot. So I forgot to mention this earlier, but the U of M Twin Cities is a Big Ten school. To put it in the most simple terms, what that means is that we are in we are in an athletic conference and academic alliance with other Big Ten schools. So what this means, like for sports wise, is as students, your sports entry fee will usually be free, and if it's not free, it will be discounted. Sports is a huge part of our student culture here at the U, especially in the fall. Like, no joke, the streets are maroon and gold. Everyone dresses up as Goldie at some point. Like, we sell striped overalls that people just wear. People have masks on, so it's like if you're a big fan of sports, that is definitely a huge component at the U that everyone who's interested in sports will partake in. There's a lot of excitement in the fall. As for our like academic alliance, unfortunately, like we don't have any huge events for the academic alliance, but just in case you're interested, I will just talk a little bit about it. That just means that we share our academic resources and opportunities with our other Big Ten schools. So for example, if there's a book that you really need for a research project and it's not at the U, but it's at one of our partner schools, we have resources to get you that book, even though you're a student at the U and at that school. But besides like sports, which happens like yearly, but specifically in the fall. We also have some multicultural events that also happens yearly. So because I don't work in retention and I don't work in like student-led organizations, unfortunately, I can't like specifically think of any. But definitely at the U, we have a lot of different buildings and I don't know, it's like these wooden blocks where student organizations and organizations will staple on like their events that they're hosting, whether it's new or if it's always been annual. So it's actually really hard to miss because they will advertise like crazy. Those things will happen yearly. I will say in the summer though, because all students are out of school unless you're taking summer course. Not much is happening in the summer, but that's one thing I really like about the U is that like if you're into sports, we have that for you, and I don't think it's ever gonna leave. But we have multicultural events as well that does happen, like performances. They also make food and sell it sometimes. But if there's something that you don't see but that you want, you have the power to create that. You can turn into an annual thing. As long as you continue to recruit students and lead those groups. But yeah, so sorry guys, I don't work in retention, so I don't know the clear answer for that. But it's really hard to miss all the advertising. You just have to look and you see like 100 flyers.
Yeah, so I'm glad you went first because it gave me some time to think about it. But yeah, I'd say there's a kind of like Pana said too, like a lot of the student organizations on campus are gonna host a lot of different activities and events that go on. I'd say the ones that really have a good foothold on what goes on year to year are our culturally diverse student organizations. So we're actually, in fact, the second most diverse university within the Twin Cities, right at 42% student body of color. So we take very much a large pride in our diversity, and so we do celebrate like Asian Heritage Month, we do celebrate Hmong Month, we do celebrate Black Heritage Month, and we actually, our student organizations on campus, will actually host a lot of different events that go on during that month. I know our Lunar New Year, for one, is a big one that a lot of students will actually put in a lot of time and effort to get performers and a lot of different food catered. Same goes for other programming, but as far as our programming board, they usually do homecoming planning for our homecoming weekend. There's other events like Fireball, which is essentially like our prom, our college version of prom, where we actually rent out a different location. I think one year, or my year, it was at Minnesota History Center as a venue. Other places it's been the Landmark Center and kind of bounces around, but there's that. And then we also do what's called a late night study breakfast, which is right before finals week. Everyone goes to the cafeteria to get brunch from the cafeteria buffet, and then technically we're supposed to be studying, but they raffle out a bunch of prizes throughout the night. So we've raffled off like laptops, TV, game systems, Keurigs. So a really fun time where a lot of students kind of come together to try to win some prizes, but also do some last minute studying before finals, and get some free food. But yeah, a ton of different things that happen on campus. And again, like I mentioned earlier, all of our student clubs and organizations are very involved in, making sure things are always happening on campus, student activities. So, in fact, you can, at that point, be part of that planning committee to hopefully plan that event and host it for others in the community. So, yeah, plenty to do.
Something really unique at MCAD is we do have the country's largest student art sale. And what that means is it's a 3-day sale. It's ticket only the very first day or the first 2 days. First day is $50 tickets, then it's $25, and then the third day it's free. So anyone, we want to sort of be equitable to people. we have raised over $500,000 in that 3-day sale. So that includes student artwork. So if you are any artist, I've seen people like make T-shirts, prints, photos, sculptures. You are selling those artworks. It could be an original piece of art, or it could be a print. Make multiples of something. You, as the student, are getting 80% of the proceeds. So if you have something for $100, you get $80. The remaining 20 goes back towards scholarships for other students, for future students. So I would say that's the biggest kind of thing that's everybody's really excited for. It's always the week before Thanksgiving, so it's kind of like our homecoming, if you will. But then, of course, we have all sorts of other events. We're a small school, so we have a few dances. We sometimes bring in maybe a band to come play live. We have a petting zoo. It's like people like me bring in my dogs so that you at finals can enjoy tea and petting some friendly pets and that sort of thing. But then also, I haven't talked about clubs yet. We do have a bunch of clubs. Some of them, of course, are geared towards art making practices, like animation club, filmmakers club. But it can also be, things that you're interested in. So there's Pokemon club, there's Dungeons and Dragons, there's like drag club, LGBTQIA plus club. There is a prayer group. There's a Muslim student society. So, it kind of runs the gamut. Like, who are you as an individual? What are you interested in? You can join a club. You can join multiple clubs, and you can also start clubs. So if there's something that you are really passionate about, and again, it can be just a couple of you, get your friend and say, hey, we want to do this. You can propose those clubs. So, college is really about kind of exploring and becoming more of yourself. It can be a really fun time. So that's where, investigating and spending some time to discover different colleges and what they offer, come tour, get your feet on our ground, on our campus, so that you can kind of get that experience. Is this going to be a good place for me?
As we are kind of wrapping up, these last two or last one, depending on time, is questions about them personally and their own experiences in college. But what is your favorite memory from college that you have?
Okay. So I do want to say I was a COVID-19 graduate. So I was only able to attend college in person for like 60% of my college career, and everything after that was virtual. But, I liked being virtual. That was great. I needed that break. But I guess the one memory, I have a lot, but the one is probably when I earned my diploma. The reason why is because I was a first generation student, and, my parents came from Laos. So with that background, there was a lot of things I was like, man, it would be great if I could just not have to deal with this anymore. So when I finally earned my diploma, or degree, whichever one, my bachelor's degree, that was a really awesome moment, because I knew like with this degree, I could finally pursue jobs that definitely had better benefits, higher pay, and just really opening doors for me that I otherwise would not have had. So definitely that was like, it was like a moment of freedom, to be honest, because you're like, now you're free, you can start in your career. Things can only get better from here. If you want to earn your master's, now you're eligible because you have your bachelor's. So that was most definitely one of my favorite moments in college. So in case this is my last question, I do just want to end it, maybe in case it is, that if you are a student, like you're not really sure, you're like, I don't think I will ever get there, know that you will. Like, this is the first step, which is coming to these things, talking to admissions reps. We're here to help guide you through like that admissions process to get you where you want to go. And if you are admitted, you do confirm to a college of your choice, like, keep working hard. Like, I literally did not know a pandemic was going to hit. So I was like, look, if I made it, y'all can make it too. So Yeah, but if you ever want to chat one-on-one, I'm more than happy to share my story. I do that with a lot of students because they do ask, and sometimes they just want to connect with like a professional admissions rep who has similar background as them. So if you do identify a little bit with me, you want to chat more about like how did you navigate your challenges, struggles, what did you do, X, Y, Z, definitely let me know. But after I earned my degree, I was like, wow, that was great. So I really want you all to have that moment as well.
Yeah, I guess for me, and as someone that went to Hamline, and luckily I can speak on this too, is that I was very active, kind of like I mentioned in my bio, that I was very active with a bunch of different clubs and organizations on campus, and I think that for me was like my biggest core memory is being able to be part of that, planning committee to host a bunch of events and really get to know a lot of different people throughout my time of participating in those organizations on campus. It even gave me the opportunity to go to student conferences out of state. So really being active within the community for me was something that I really got a lot out of being a Hamline student, but also just really getting to know my professors too. I think that was really nice to have that personal conversation, building that established relationship of more than just being, a teacher and a student, but like colleagues. Really kind of like Pana said with that sort of like hesitation, I reiterate everything that she just said. Like I was also a COVID graduate. I graduated the year it happened, so I hated virtual because no one knew what they were doing. So it was probably my hardest year of college. But that being said, my entire 3.5 years that I got of being in person, I get also private colleges are just more expensive in general, but I definitely would do it all over again just because of the experience that I had, for sure.
I would say my friends, some of my closest friends are from college, and that's because you're studying things that you're interested in and you're meeting other people that are passionate about those things as well. I have great friends from high school, but most of them are like doing different things, and we text and see each other maybe once a year. But my college friends, it's much more consistent. Like they're my peers. We, go to events together. We know about kind of other things happening and can throw them a bone, if you will. Like, hey, there's this, arts organization that's hiring people. You should check it out. Or if you know anybody in your network, So it's kind of building your network of resources. And so I would also say the instructors, because those people really care about you. It takes a really special person to teach others. If you're gracious with them, if you're, trying to do your work and put yourself into your work, they're going to, appreciate that. They're going to help you, and they're going to respect you and kind of treat you as an adult. So it's a great stepping stone to the next part of your life. So. Final thoughts.
We do have.
Thank you for answering that last question. I hope you all have learned about them. But I'm opening up the floor if you have questions. I would very much like at least 3 people to ask questions. It could be for a specific person or just a question for a general question as well. Go ahead, and then say your name.
My name's Yasha. My question is it hard to deal with money in college?
Is that for all of us or just one of us? So for me, my EFC was 0. So you will apply for like the FAFSA. Well, it's optional, but I strongly encourage y'all to apply for it. So you send it off to your colleges that you're interested in. But mine was 0. So that means that my family expected contribution was $0. And because it was 0, that meant that the government, they maximize my Pell Grant, and like anything that they could give me, because my financial background determined that I really needed a lot of need-based scholarships, grants, things like that to help support me to go to school. So even with that, in high school, I was in College Possible, and because of College Possible, I was able to secure $20,000 scholarship from Dell's, the laptop people, that company. So because of them, I was able to go to school without any debt at all, which is why I'm like, while you are in high school, I do encourage you, like, talk to your counselors, talk to your teachers to see what scholarships you can apply for. And just use your resources. And if you need help, like, reach out to me. We have some published scholarships on our U of M website. It's not ran through us, but a good amount of our students apply for every year, and a good amount is awarded. So I'm definitely more than happy to share those. But for me, like, I was really lucky and happy that I did get that scholarship that really helped resolve a lot of money issues for me. But another thing, too, is that when I was a teenager in high school, I also worked a lot, part-time jobs, because I did not know if I was going to get a scholarship. So I took that initiative to go ahead and work and try to save up all that I could while still focusing on academics. It's like a hard balance, but I just knew that, like, if College Possible, if I did not get any scholarships from that, then I will rely on whatever I saved up for my part-time job. So I strongly recommend that, look at your life and see, like, what can you do, and try your best to make your best effort for circumstances. And if you do need help, like, always feel free to reach out to me. While I do work for the U of M, I'm always happy to help share resources and advice in general as well. If y'all was on that tour, you all should have my business card. But if you lost it, just let me know, and I could just give you my email again.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be real, because, yeah, money's scary when you're spending this much money to go to college, right? But that being said, I didn't have that opportunity to get a large scholarship, unfortunately. Mainly just because I will just be honest, I didn't have the best GPA in high school either. So I had to really think about college in a long-term perspective on making it an investment in myself rather than just looking at the price up front. And while I was also part of, like, programs, also College Possible, so yeah, what's up? Yeah, one thing, and it is, I will say, a lot to kind of take in, someone your age just getting into this kind of stuff, but the finance aspect of it is a lot more manageable than it really seems, because, yeah, the big number is scary up front, but in the long run, there is a way to make the payments a lot more smaller and a lot more manageable, to where you're not going to be putting yourself at risk financially. So, and everyone's going to look different situationally. You do get funding from the state government and the federal government if you do qualify. And then additional scholarships that are college specific, but also other opportunities of outside scholarships. So a lot of different ways you can go about it, and really depends on your situation. And again, that's why we're here. For you to essentially reach out to us to make it possible for you to attend our university. We're going to do everything that we can in our power to be able to, help you out and get things figured out. So it's not a direct answer, but is a general idea to think about.
Yeah, similarly, I would say, like, don't shoot any of your dreams down before you try to, learn about it. Talk to the counselors at the schools that you're interested in. I always say, like, yes, as a private school, that figure, if you're just looking at sticker price, is scary. It's expensive. If I had a kid your age wanting to go to this school, I'd be like, whoa. We gotta, do our due diligence and find out what scholarships you earn. Look for outside scholarships, and we have resources that we'll share with you as well. And go through all the way through. Submit the entire application. Find out if you're admitted, what scholarship you get from the school. We offer scholarships up to $25,000 that are renewable for up to 4 years. So that's a $100,000 scholarship. That makes it much more possible for a lot of students to go to our school, right? Makes it kind of within reason. for other schools. So again, like we cost more, but we're giving out a lot more scholarship. Plus, if you earn other scholarships, so if there are other programs, part of that is the FAFSA, doing the FAFSA to find out what other forms of government aid you qualify for. So my biggest advice for anyone is to apply, find out, if you're admitted, what you get. Also, I feel it's a secret thing we don't really talk about a lot, but at least for our school, when you have 12 or more college credits, so sometimes students go to a community college because you don't have to have the best high school GPA. Go to community college and get straight A's. That's going to be your new GPA, and that can mean thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in scholarship. So it might be worth it.
I guess just to add on that too, so I don't work in the transfer team or anything, but sometimes I do get some students who have been denied from institution. They're wondering what their next steps are. But y'all shouldn't think about that yet since the application has not even opened. But just in case you are thinking about transferring, or if maybe you did not get into U of M at a later date for our institution, just like you said, for us, if you earn more than 26 college credits after, let's say, you go to community college, you earn more than 26 at the U, we will no longer look at your high school GPA, high school academics. We're just going to look at that college, your new college GPA. So that's definitely something that students don't know that I do want to share. So I'm like, it's not the end of the world. Our transfer team, they're more than happy to talk to folks and help out too. Any other questions? Yes. Should I go first? I can go first.
Yeah, you got the mic.
I'm just gonna go first. So at the U, admissions works separately from financial aid. So they're called One Stop at the U. So admissions is completely separate from financial aid and anything related to finances and billing. So unfortunately, I can't give you this answer because I don't work for them. However, we do strongly encourage students to fill out the FAFSA because that's the only way our institution can evaluate if you're eligible for loans, for grants, need-based scholarships, anything else. So it's free. The free federal form. It opens this fall. So recommend do it sooner rather than what? December this year, this winter. That's really late. But yeah, so, I encourage you to fill it out as soon as you can, send it to all the schools you're interested in, and that will definitely help. And for the other part of your question, what was the other part? Can you repeat the second part of your question?
Study abroad.
Okay, yes, so study abroad. At the U, yes. So we do have a separate department that handles all learning abroad. We have over 180 programs over 50 countries. So whatever you're interested in, if you want to go a week, semester, 2 semesters, the month of May, summer, 2 semesters is completely up to you. You can still earn credits that will contribute towards your degree while you're abroad, so it's still definitely possible to graduate within 4 years as well. In addition to that, they also offer their own learning abroad scholarships as well. So if you do ever end up at the U, make sure you apply for scholarships to go abroad. Not a lot of folks know about it, so people tend to not apply. So I've been telling everyone to apply. So it may get more competitive because I keep telling people, but there's always scholarships and this financial assistance, so you just have to make sure you reach out to them and make it known that you will like that type of resource.
Okay, yeah. So just because we're short on time, I'm going to kind of do an abridged version. But first question, answer is yes. We offer merit scholarships, which is completely based on your GPA. Keep in mind GPA weighted. So if you have a weighted 4.0 or higher, it's $30,000 for our presidential scholarship, and that's for $30,000 every year and not across the 4 years. And then it kind of just scales down from there. We also do offer scholarships for first-generation students, students part of college access programs like TRIO, AVID, College Possible, Legacy for any parents, siblings, current siblings currently attending Hamline, And then we are a Methodist affiliated university, so we do have a Bishop Methodist scholarship. And then we do have departmental and talent scholarships, depending on the major that you're going for. Those are separate applications that you apply for, but those are upwards to $3,000 at least, or at the most. And those can also be renewed every year. So all the ones through Hamline are renewable annually. But aside from that, we do accept, the federal loans, things like that, state grant, Pell Grant. Again, all stuff that you'll get just for applying to the FAFSA free application for federal student aid. It'll make you applicable for student loans. Just because you apply to the FAFSA does not mean that you have to accept those loans. It's an option. But yeah, those are just some of the aid that we offer. Over 90% of our students get aid of some form, so almost guaranteed. And then I would say for study abroads, we do offer programs to over 80 different countries available. And not only that, we actually have a program that's now called Study Away, where you can do different classes or research studies across state borders within the U.S. So if you don't want to exactly go abroad, you can also travel the U.S. and do other classes that way too. So.
The answers are yes and yes. Financial aid, 97% of our students receive some form of aid. And we do have study abroad programs. We just have 8 different partnerships with major art institutions around the world. So if you are interested in animation, a lot of those students go to Japan, for example. Graphic design, they may go to Germany for a semester. So kind of targeted. But yeah, I mean, those are all things that we'll talk individually with you if you come to us and want that information. Yep.
One thing I forgot to add is we also do national student exchange. So this means that you can go to one of our partner schools, Hawaii. A lot of people from the U go to Hawaii, unsurprisingly. But you'll still be paying the same price as you would at the U at any other institution that you want to be an exchange student at. So if, like my sister did it, so if finances is something where you were I can't really go abroad, but you still want that experience where you're learning at a different campus, national student exchange is something we do offer. I say just go to Hawaii. It's a whole different world. He's paying the same price, so that's definitely something that we offer as well. I forgot about that till now. We have any last questions?
Or do we have time?
Oh, do we have time?
We'll be quick.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay, well, my name's Alex. What do you think was the most exciting or interest project you worked on throughout college?
Oh, project. I can go first. Okay, so at Hamline we have what's called a LEAP credit, which is a requirement for you to do an internship or research project by the time you graduate. And for my LEAP credit, I actually got to design my own museum exhibit, so for my major in anthropology. So we actually had someone from the Minnesota Institute of Art actually be a panelist to actually judge all of the classes' different projects. We were split up into, I think, 4 different groups, and we had our own quote-unquote client, who is one of our professors, who is an archaeologist who dug up a lot of things in and around the Twin Cities area and wanted to put that on display. So it was my job and my group's job to essentially create a whole exhibit to be held on campus. So I made a whole 3D model of it. We actually got to observe the stuff that he actually found and think about how we want to put this up in a museum exhibit and really go through the actual sort of research and design process and actually being able to do that. And then, we pitched it to a panel of judges, which included my professor, the client, and I don't know what her position was, but she helped with that sort of museum design at the Minnesota Institute of Art, who actually does it for a living. So, it was a really cool real-life experience that I got to do for my project, so.
So like I mentioned, I was a COVID graduate. little bit. Half of my college journey was online, so I don't really have anything super cool. But I guess one of my favorite things, it's not a project, but I worked for a trio Upper Bound as a student at the U, and I definitely really loved that job because the students that I worked with, mentored, I'm like, oh, you get to see them grow. And when I became an admissions counselor, they became my students to recruit. So that was actually pretty awesome. You just get to see them grow. So while I did not do any cool projects due to the pandemic, I did really enjoy my part-time jobs at the U, and trio is definitely one of my favorite ones.
I took a few documentary photography classes, and so our professor proposed that we, class of about 10 students, rent a cabin for the summer. So we spent kind of in the North Detroit Lakes area, kind of far away from here, 3.5 hours from here. We lived there for the summer and we photographed. We got to know the community, and we actually released a book. We published a book, which was super amazing to be, both the photographer and living that experience, and then have an outcome, have an actual product that was sold, was super great, and kind of tied everything together. Like this, I'm going to school for similar things, and I'm actually working on those projects while I'm in school. It really, even for my parents, kind of made it like, oh, this is real. This is, something that you do. So I think that there are, again, just really exciting things that are going to happen in college for you.
All right, can I just get a hand of applause for our panelists? Again, thank you for coming in. I hope that students really got their questions answered. I know we didn't have a lot of time for the student questions at the end, but if you do ever want to reach out to any three of them or all three of them, I will give your teacher their emails, and so you can reach out there. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure you can find them on their websites. But yeah, that is all for today. Thank you again, high school class, for coming in.